good evening. So I should be live. I hope everyone is doing well. I was going to start out with another funny little monologue, and perhaps I will tomorrow. Not in the mood today. So I might try to, as long as I can be in the right frame of mind, I may try to start out the shows with that just for a little bit of fun, just to be a little bit different, especially different from what I have done in the past. I do want to improve what I do in, I don't know, eh, I don't even know how to describe it, but I do want to improve what I do in some aspects. Um, we'll see how it goes. So I would expect that. I really, one thing that a lot of people may not really get from watching me here is how much I love and appreciate humor. And I am somebody, I've got a sick, twisted sense of humor, and I've been known to be fairly funny throughout my life. So it's probably an aspect of me, a part of me that I should have always had, and I know I do have fun, but not on the level as the normal me. You know, you kind of got like the news me and the normal me. Again, I've got a sick, twisted, demented sense of humor that I like to share, and one of my favorite things to do is make people laugh, and so maybe I ought to loosen up a little bit, take the stick out of my butt, and try to have a little more fun with this at the same time, still bringing you the same truth, the same information that I would anyway. But maybe have a little bit of fun with it. Um, right on, Leo. You didn't miss much, buddy. Um, so tonight's going to be interesting. I actually don't have any news articles up per se, but I wanted to talk about a topic that's been the talk of the town, if you will. And I want to give you my thoughts on it, give you a little bit of inside information. I believe it's inside information. I'm like 99.9% sure I'm right on something. That doesn't really matter, but it might be something that people might go, oh, wow, I never realized that. And then we're probably going to take a little bit of a dark turn, and I'm going to discuss something that I don't know of any quote-unquote prepper channels ever discussed. But it's a topic that really you need to hear. I've got some personal first-hand experience to share about it, and it's a topic that really needs to be heard. I really do think so. So, first off, let's get to the UFOs. So I'm sure by now, because of all the different channels that are talking about this, I am sure that many of you are aware of a prediction made for the next coming day or two from Webbot, a incarnation of Cliff High. And I've got an article here about it, and I've got a little bit of inside. Again, has nothing so much to do with the story, but I'm a bit astute, and I've got this really crazy memory, and my puzzle skills, being able to put together puzzles and stuff like that, are just stupid. I mean, just stupid. So I am 99.9% sure, and that's pretty damn sure for me, that Cliff High is actually the father of full spectrum survival. I know a lot of people are like, what? I'm pretty sure of it. Not just because they're both bald. It goes further than that. It goes deeper than that. I have been watching Full Spectrum Survival for over a decade. And when I started watching him, he did the most amazing news show that I had ever seen in my life. It blew me away. And he did something called News in 2 Minutes. And literally in 2 minutes' time, you could listen to his News in 2 Minutes, and you would know more about what was going on in the world than if you watched every single news channel all day long. That is how good it was. And that's what got me hooked on Full Spectrum Survival. I mean, the dude was incredible. And it wound up, before all said and done, it wound up being more like 3 minutes to be able to fit everything in. But he did a bang-up job. Man, did he do a super job. 100 times better than what he does today. 110 billion times better than what he does today. Because back then he would just share the information with you, the data with you. He wouldn't add little stories to it and put a spin of fear on it. And, he didn't used to always be that way. Not even close. It's probably the only reason I'm still subscribed to him, because he, it goes way back. And he used to be just like the ultimate news source, to be quite honest. Well, anyway, the reason why I've made that connection between the two, I do believe that both of their last names are Harris. Full Spectrum Survival being Brad Harris. And I believe Cliff High's real last name is Harris. So that's one coinky-dink. But here's the astute part. Way back when, like 10 plus years ago, when I was watching News in 2 Minutes, he would talk once in a while about the system in which he got his information, and he would talk about a computer program that used linguistics to gather data. And that is how he formulated his News in 2 Minutes. Because again, he would have things that he covered that wasn't anywhere, nowhere, but yet he would be spot on. It was amazing. It was amazing. And so, as far as I know, I believe the two had a falling out, and that's why he doesn't use the WebBot stuff anymore. And so a little bit of inside, I'm 99.9% sure on that. So anyway, I haven't seen birth certificates, so I can't make that 100, right? So anyway, let's get to this prediction. And apparently this prediction was made in 2009. So let me go ahead and go over the prediction, and then I'll tell you what my kind of thoughts with it all are. You might be a little surprised, to be honest. 27-year-old WebBot predicted Trump's election win, UFO war, what we know. Says YouTuber Keemstar on Sunday claimed that a WebBot software developed in 1997 once predicted President-elect Donald Trump's election win in 2016. The Republican featuring on Joe Rogan podcast and also a UFO and alien war. So far, 2 of the bot's 3 predictions have turned to be true. Times Now couldn't verify the influencer's claims or the WebBot's working. YouTuber Keemstar on Sunday claimed that a WebBot software developed in 1997. And is this the exact same thing? Yeah, it is. Sorry. According to Keemstar, the WebBot was developed by Cliff High. That's only one F in Cliff there, Chief. And could collect data to predict stocks. In 2009, it predicted Trump featuring on the Joe Rogan podcast, adding that there will be a UFO war 39 days after his appearance. That's like either tonight or tomorrow night, something like that. And anyway, it says here, which is supposed to be December 3rd, 2024. What do you know? I hope you're sitting next to a window or something so you could see it. In 97, Cliff High developed a WebBot software that would collect data from the internet to predict the future for the stock market. In 2009, WebBot predicted after Trump appears on Joe Rogan's podcast which made no sense in 2009. But exactly 39 days later, there will be an alien UFO war in the sky. 39 days later is December 3rd, 2024, tonight. Now it's Trump on Rogan. Reacting to the tweet, one person tweeted, "Yeah, some dude made a program that predicted things and kept going, and that was one of them." The only reference to the bot came 8 years ago when a Reddit user, a quadrillion dollars, posted that Cliff High, the webbot guy, predicted Trump winning months ago. He has predicted Bitcoin movements accurately also. Many people were dismissing it because not understanding how his system works. Let's see. Is that it? That is it. Okay. So, first of all, you need to understand I love UFOs. I love aliens. I have always had a fascination for that. I actually, I don't know. I've had some weird experiences when I was young. Some very weird experiences. But all throughout my life, I've been intrigued and interested. I mentioned before that even as a kid, couldn't tell you how old, there used to be these Time Life books. You know, one of those deals to where you get another book every month. And I think there was one called Mysteries of the Unknown, if I'm not mistaken. I had to have it. Let's see, Time, Life, I think it was Mysteries of the Unknown. Yeah, it popped right up. I got MYS put in and it popped up. Time Life and MYS and it popped right up. Anyway, bring these up as soon as... These are the books. Let me tell you what, I would go gaga to have those books. And I mean fully freaking gaga to have those books. Man. I sat there and I would read those books over and over and over because they were so incredible. I talk about, and I'll probably talk about again this evening, about some incidents that have happened near military bases involving reportedly, allegedly, UFOs and, their interference with actual nuclear missile systems. I've talked about it before. If I recall correctly, the first place that I read about those incidents, because I believe there was at least two, was, I believe, in one of these books. Another thing I'm 99.9% sure of. I believe it was in the UFO book. I'll tell you what, though. These things were incredible. I would do anything to have another set of them. I really would. So let's talk about this. First of all, let's talk about WebBot. Let's talk about, you remember seeing ads for him? Yeah, oh dude. It was, I don't even remember how it all went down as far as me getting the books. I'm going to guess that I must have worked something out for chores or something with my parents on it. 'Cause that stuff normally didn't happen either with us. We just couldn't afford it. And I think those things were like $20 or $30 a piece every month as they came out. I had to have them. I mean, I just absolutely had to have them. That was probably, out of my childhood, the thing that I wanted most ever was those books. I kid you not. I'm not normal. I don't know. Did I have those up? Did I show those up or not? If I didn't, I'm sorry. I thought I did. But these are the books. There's, I I don't know if there's more than 11 of them. Let me put this in eBay and see. I can't remember. Well, and there was like $24 shipping. I'll back up here in a moment. Let's see. 8, 9, 6, 8, 11, 11, 9. Oh, crap. 18? Are some of these duplicates? No. So this is 18? Huh. Hang on here. Let's see. Oh, yikes. 33. I didn't know that. I know I didn't have them all. Hey, Leo, here's the Christmas present you can get me, brother. It's only $749. So 33. There were 33 total. So I certainly did not have them all. Anywho, WebBot. I know from back when Full Spectrum Survival was doing his news in 2 minutes. I knew that WebBot was something unbelievable. I don't know how it came up with some of the information that it did, but it came up with some humdingers. Now, it wasn't so much that I recall, at least it wasn't Full Spectrum Survival's position, to really go into the future with stuff. He was just kind of covering stuff that was going on in the present, some of it being stuff that you didn't hear on the news, but was legit. And so I knew there was something with that. Now I'm going to be honest, I don't follow Cliff High. For the most part, I'm not a fan. You know, maybe I'm naive, and that's possible. I certainly don't know everything. But the whole remote viewing thing, I don't know how much I really buy that stuff. And again, I would happily admit that I was wrong. If I was wrong on something like that, it just kind of is what it is. But I'm not hip with all the remote viewing stuff. But I do know that that it did a really good job back then, at least for near-term stuff. Oh, that's sweet. You got an autographed book. I got a couple from Franklin Horton autographed over there. They're the Locker 9 series, book 1, and then the Borrowed Worlds series, book 1. I've got both of those autographed by him. I need to get, I really want to get an autographed book, if not an autographed 2, or maybe in the future 3 books, from Joe, so Niemeyer. Because, yeah, I'm still saying he's my favorite author. On this WebBot thing, the predictability. So, it's got, from my understanding, about a 55 to 60% accuracy rate. Now, from my understanding, when I say that, that means accuracy within the time frame that he says. However, there's actually a higher accuracy rate than that, because sometimes what he predicts actually happens, but just not in the time frame stated. So that's an important thing to know. Do I think there's validity to his WebBot software? 110%. I'm not saying that it predicts everything correctly, or it's always right, or it's But I've seen enough myself to tell you that without a doubt there is something to that software. Softwares like this can be written. Look at Ben Davidson, Suspicious Observers, with his earthquake prediction app. Okay, softwares like this can be written and can be maybe not 100% accurate, but amazingly accurate. Now, I don't see any UFOs outside my window. Kind of bums me out. Do I think that this will happen? Do I think that this could happen? Well, will is an awful strong word, to be honest, especially with this situation. Will is an awful strong word. Can? I gotta go with can. Maybe not tonight, but maybe not too far off. One of the things that I've tinfoil hatted over for a large part of my life, and I mean going back to when I was a kid, was that there's a conspiracy theory that aliens have had contact with, I believe it's governments around, most governments, the big governments like Russia and the US, China, that aliens have been in contact with those countries. And the reason why I am really, I can't tell you that's not the case, is because of the, and I've talked about this before, the technology jump that we had. Now, being somebody that I've always loved electronics and electrical and stuff like that, I've kind of paid attention to it. And believe me, there was a huge leap in technology. To go from adding machines to the calculators that had the red LED type of numbers on them. Some people may remember those. They were red like type of either alphanumeric or whatever. They were kind of crappy looking and they were always red. The letters were red. Or the numbers, I'm sorry. The numbers are red. To go from that technology, which is for the most part analog, to what we have today, which is full-on digital, there was a Dukes of Hazzard leap there. A Dukes of Hazzard leap. So that's always kind of made me wonder how they made that leap in technology, where that happened at. The story goes on to say that said aliens had given the governments clear instructions on what they needed to do. And I believe they were some things like, disarmament, nuclear disarmament, stuff like that. Taking a little better care of the earth, stuff like that. This is as the story goes. If you want to put this tinfoil hat on, you more than certainly can. I've worn it for many years. It feels kind of comfortable to me. But the thing is, as the story goes, that the governments aren't going to listen, aren't going to do what they're supposed to do, and at some point, said aliens would take action. That almost sounds in line with what this prediction from Webbot has. Now, in a different but related tinfoil hat topic, there's been long reported different types of aliens. You've got the grays and you've got, you know what I mean? So it's been long said that some of these different species of aliens don't get along. They don't like each other. All this stuff I do find interesting, and I absolutely will entertain it. And so when I think about Webbot's prediction, as it's described, and I don my tinfoil hat, I have to say possible. Again, not saying tonight, but I could see it happening. And I could see us reaching a point to where it could happen, considering everything involving the tinfoil hat stories and what's going on in our reality now. And I'm talking about the conflicts around the world. I'm talking about the fingers that are on red buttons right now. I do believe wholeheartedly that if we are being watched over by people from a different place, or as the conversation's lately gone, from a different dimension, I do believe that there is a good chance that they could step in and stop something major, like nuclear war. So it's interesting, and these are things that I'm telling you, I used to think about this stuff when I was a kid. I've had these views as a child. So it's going to be interesting. You know, again, I'm not seeing nothing outside. Kind of bummed out. Hey, I'm good. And when I say I'm good, I don't mean I'm ready. I'm good to go. I can ride out the apocalypse, no problem. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying if it's my time, I'm ready. The other part of that is, I'm not getting any better health-wise. I'm not getting any younger. And if we're going to dance in the barn, let's dance in the barn. Regardless of whether or not I have my children in my life, I would still rather fight a battle than to leave a battle for them to fight. And that's probably the largest part of it. So I don't know. It's good stuff. It's definitely good stuff to talk about. It makes a fun topic. I just looked down now, brother. You finished his first book, the audio of it, huh? Dude, wait until the second one. Wait until the second one. The intensity, dude. I never had a book made me want to just go punch a puppy or something before. And there was a part, well, more than one, but especially one in particular part of that second book, to where I was so pissed off I couldn't see straight. It's a good book. It's a really good book. Hang on, I gotta have a sip of coffee. And vape, because I can. Yeah, that's in the news today, by the way. I saw it on regular local news. I'm boofering. Boofering. I don't know if it's my output, though. It might be your input. I should be steady. Fiber. Should be pretty stable. I just think it's a really, really interesting topic. And I'm actually kind of glad that it came up. Because it is one of those things that I put a lot of time into thinking about. So, now I guess we'll shift gears and we'll talk about something that I don't know if any preparedness channel has ever talked about. Preparedness channels, some of them, including me, have definitely talked about loss. They've definitely talked about death. But one thing that I've never heard a prepper channel talk about, and again, personal experience, is having to leave someone. You might be wondering, what do you mean you got personal experience in that? So, I gotta be careful of what I say, how I say it. I have experience in leadership of preparedness groups. I'll kind of leave it at that. And there's a lot of things that you see differently once you've done something like that. One of those things is, in my opinion, is that you become more recognizant, if you will, about negatives. You become more mindful about it. You think about things a little more. And I was in a situation to where I was married, had kids, and I guess I need to go a little bit into backstory so you can kind of understand where my mindset, where my frame of mind was. Now, first off, I gotta say this because I'm not somebody to tell one side of the story. This was during a period of time in my life that I was trying to end the most self-destructive phase of my life. At this time, I was extremely self-destructive, and I was trying to get away from that, get out of that. My family wound up in a messed up situation, and I have to take 100% of the blame for that, because really, that's 100% at fault. We wound up having to live in a camper for a little while. We lived for a summer in a camper. We had a fairly good-sized camper, you know. It was what they call a park model, and fairly nice. I mean, it wasn't a Taj Mahal, but it was definitely livable. And it was actually kind of pleasant living at a campground, to be honest. Nice out there. It's pretty quiet out there, except for me. I found out in, I think it was October, that we weren't going to be able to stay at that campground. Now, mind you, there are several people that live out there year-round. And I had already gone through what I needed to go through in order to take care of myself, well, take care of my family, as far as water and stuff. The reason being is because they shut the water off and stuff like that. Once it started to get cold, they'd shut the water off so there wouldn't be no frozen pipes or anything like that. So those that continued to live out there had to be able to fend for themselves as far as water and stuff like that. Of course, the power stayed on and all that, but they shut the water all down. And I had everything set up to get and put in place and all of that to be able to winter out there at this campground. Well, I found out in, I think it was October, that we weren't going to be able to do that. So, at that time, I had no idea where we were going to go, what we were going to do, and I had been talking to some people online for a little while that were just getting ready to leave Georgia to move to Tennessee to start a homestead. And I thought, this might be the way. A fresh start. Get the hell away from here and have a fresh start. So I jumped at the opportunity. Well, I still don't know 100% of all of those people's motive because things were a little strange. But we get out there, and this is what happened. We get down to Tennessee, pulled the camper down there, took as much of our stuff as we could. Some stuff we had to leave behind, even what my kids called my bumblebee van. Had to leave it behind. It was the people that used it before I bought it used it to haul a stock car trailer. So they painted up the van kind of like a stock car. It had a freaking spoiler on the back of it and all that, old Ford van. And I thought it looked cool. But the kids, it was black and yellow. The kids called it the bumblebee van. When I bought it to be able to haul my airplane with, my ultralight. And, anywho, I had to leave that behind. Did have to leave a fair amount of stuff behind. We get to Tennessee. We get the camper set up. And I'm helping them down there clear trees and, get some driveways put in and stuff like that. And we weren't down there but about a week and a half. And my now ex-wife had caused so many problems in that week and a half that we had to leave. And it wasn't a pleasant parting. We had little to no time to get the hell off the property. I was pissed, to say the least. I had no way to fix this. That was my marriage, was a series of constantly fixing crap. That's why, to be honest, I became so self-destructive, because I couldn't live. I just wanted a peaceful, calm life, right? Like pretty much anybody else. And it got to a point to where I just didn't give a damn. Well, there was another couple that I had met online and had been talking to for about the same amount of time I would talk to the people that we were with. And they saved our asses. They drove up from Alabama, and we couldn't take the camper, so we lost the camper, we lost some more of our possessions. We loaded up as much as we could in our minivan. They had a pickup truck, not a pickup truck, an SUV, I think it was. Yeah, SUV and a trailer. Not a huge one, but we loaded the trailer down as much as we could. Put as much stuff in the back of the SUV and in the minivan. Took off for Alabama. So we get down in Alabama. And again, my attitude at this time was I wanted to start anew. With my marriage, with my life, everything. That was my intent. And we got down there. And we were struggling, to make things happen. Wasn't fun. Let me tell you what. One of the reasons why I'm a little bit harsh on people that push solar stuff but don't have really any experience in it, because I know what it's like for your family to be cold, because the quote-unquote kick-ass solar system you had wasn't even enough to keep a torpedo heater running through the night to keep your family warm. Been there, done that. So that's why I have a little bit of an attitude when it comes to that kind of stuff, because there's a lot of people being sold snake oil and they don't know it. And I'm not saying that the devices don't work. What I'm saying is typically it's not enough for what they think it will work for or what they need it to work for. You don't want to be put in that spot. Let me tell you, been there, done that. Fortunately, my family was helped out there too. And it was a nasty winter in Alabama. Nasty, nasty. We actually had a really, really nasty ice storm and snow that year. And they weren't used to it at all down there. It's kind of funny because we needed some stuff to eat. And we were going to go to the local store, right? There's snow and ice out there. We were going to go to the local store and get what we needed. So we all pile up in the minivan and I'm driving to the store, pull into the store parking lot, and lights are out, nobody there, and there's a cop sitting there in his car. That was it. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "We need to grab a few things." I came to the store. They ain't open. It's like, can't you see? And I'm looking around, and I mean, it's not like it was, that bad. I don't think it was that bad. But the folks down there aren't used to that. And I don't think that they have the equipment and stuff like that to be able to deal with it like they do up here. To me, it was no big deal. I would have went up and down Sand Mountain without a second thought because, well, I'm from here. And anyway, got turned around and had to go back home. But let me get to the point of what I'm saying. Being that I have been in leadership in certain types of groups, it opens up doors a little bit. And so I was in a conversation with someone down there that was in leadership of a group down there. And more or less kind of telling them my situation and stuff like that. I had to be sober enough minded, if that's the right term to put on this, to be able to face the facts. That there is a high chance that if the big shindig ever did happen, that my now ex could have been the weak link for the entire group. And I couldn't let that happen. And that's the one thing that I'm telling folks that they need to think about. Because from a leadership position, they have to look out for things like that. They have to look out for those weak links. I told the guy straight up that, hey, I can't vouch for my wife. I had to tell him that. I can't vouch for my wife. There could very well be a situation to where it would be me and the boys, and that's it. Because I damn well wasn't going to risk an entire group of people because of one person that would absolutely refuse to stop. It was worse than that. Not only refused to stop, couldn't even recognize that they were doing anything wrong. There was never remorse. There was never nothing. It was hell. Quite frankly, it was hell. That's something I don't think I've ever heard any prepper channel talk about. But it is something that everybody needs to think about if they're anywhere near a situation like that in their own lives, in your own lives. Be ready for that. You know, I was looking at 2 children. And I'm just going to be real honest with you. At that point in time, when I lost my family and all my things, it was the kids that I had issue losing. And yeah, my things I had issue losing. I did not have issue losing my wife. She was that much of a nightmare. I can't say I was a great guy. I don't want to people to misunderstand me. I did plenty wrong myself. However, I was doing everything I could to get beyond that, to get past that, to actually have a good family. And I saw the same mindset the entire time we were there. And then all it took was what I like to call divorce buddies, right? As we didn't know really many people down there, and there was a lady that we met that was a nightmare, bigger nightmare than my ex could ever think about being. And yeah, that didn't bode well for me. I think she played a fairly big part in what happened and how it happened. But anyway, be prepared for that. Be prepared if God hope it's not a spouse, but whoever it may be prepared for that. Because you have to understand it from the leadership's position. They've got an entire group of people that they have to look after. In a sense, right? And so you have to watch out for those cracks in the wall. Because it doesn't take much. Especially when you've got a group of people that come together that don't normally live together, right? And then all of a sudden they're pretty much doing everything together. You're going to run into issues. It's inevitable. No matter what, it's pretty inevitable. Unless you're currently doing daily things together. That would be the exception, but not the rule. And the reason why I say exception, but not the rule, is because it ain't SHTF yet, homie. And there's a lot of people, there are people that are going to crack that don't realize that they're that type of person that will crack. It's going to be an interesting telling time when/if it happens. But you have to try to be cognizant of that. You have to try to find that, spot that ahead of time if you're in leadership. Even if you're not in leadership, you need to look out for those things and be prepared for it. Because you could have a leader come up to you. I'm using the word leader because it's generic. You could have a leader come up to you and say, hey, look, so-and-so ain't going to work. You could have a leader come up to you and not even have that deep of a conversation and just tell you, hey, you're gonna have to take them and go. That's what happened in Tennessee with my family on that homestead. The leadership out there, meaning the landowners, just flat out said, "You gotta go." They were pissed. They were pissed. Put it this way: I was watching over my family in a very, very militant manner because these people were pissed. And all I could do was ask them to give me time to get it worked out and to get out in peace. And they gave me their word on that. And they kept their word on that. I have been there. And I've been both in leadership and I've both been the flock, if you will. I was the flock there on that homestead. I was the help. No, it wasn't related to that. What's it to you? Wasn't related to that at all. No. Actually, the straw that broke the camel's back was, and maybe this will shine a little better light on what happened in Tennessee, was that my wife had called called and checked into getting a power pole installed where we were at. She didn't have permission to do that. This was a group of people that did not want things like utilities ran out there. They wanted to be 110% off grid. And here she's calling to talk about having a power pole installed. Well, what happened after that? We got a county inspector or whatever you call them come out there to check out what was going on that property. And upon coming onto the property to find out, he saw our camper, the landowner's camper, and said, you can't. And I guess it was that particular county in Tennessee. It was not far from, Campbell? Or the Army base. Wasn't real far from that. And they had a county law, ordinance, whatever you want to call it, that you couldn't live out there in a camper. The only way you could is you'd have to get a special use permit or something like that, but you have to do all that ahead of time. From my understanding, they weren't real good about giving out those special use permits. Well, anyway, we were all given, and I can't remember how many days, but we were all given so many days that we couldn't be staying in those campers. Well, oh, yikes. Yeah, you can't have that either. Can't have that. I mean, it depends. If they're just a weed smoker or something, that's one thing. But if they're into the heavy stuff, no. You definitely don't want that. The other thing that happened that really put salt deep in the wound is when the guy from the county was out there checking out our property, he happened to check out the property next door, which was another group of individuals that were out there that was trying to live completely off-grid and under the radar. And they had a bunch of sheds they built and all that stuff. And again, per this county's ordinances, their rules, you had to have a permit for anything like that. And so they didn't, of course, seek permits before they built because they were kind of under the radar kind of thing. And so they got in trouble for all the buildings that they had built out there without a permit. So that's why the people were so pissed off that we had to go. And it had to be as quickly as I could possibly make it happen. And it was like within a day or two after that big blow up, it was like within a day or two we were pulling out. I didn't have any more time. That's the time they gave me. I had to figure something out. So that's why I'm saying, don't let yourself be in that position. Do not let yourself be in that position. Because from the leadership me, we can't let that happen. From the person that's been in those shoes, I don't know what to say. I should have. I don't know. I don't have any good answers, to tell you the truth. I don't have any good answers if you're the one in those shoes. Because it's a sucky, sucky position. But I will tell you this. That if you're in those shoes, if you're in that position, and the big shindig does kick off, you better make some wise decisions. If you've got kids, do what's best for them. Put them first. Regardless of what that means. That's what I was doing. That's what I was doing when I had that conversation with that gentleman. I kind of think that conversation, by the way, was overheard. I think that was part of the reason why she pulled what she did the way she did, because I think she heard that conversation that I had with him. Because I had to be honest. Especially after what I just went through, I had to be straightforward. And that's one thing, if I can impress one thing on you, is that if you're looking to get in a group, make sure you are 100% honest. Because it was a bad situation to be in. Oh, yeah, heavy stuff, no. No, you have to get away from that for so many reasons. But withdrawals and all of that good stuff, yeah, that's not a good thing at all. So, again, the leadership me, I've actually had to deal with that. So, more often than I ever wanted to. But I've had to deal with that. And, my view on it, and it's the same to this day. If it's weed, whatever, I don't care. I got way more problem with an alcoholic than I do somebody that likes to smoke weed. But when it comes to, like, serious drugs like cocaine or meth or anything like that, yeah, you gotta get that as far and clear away from you as possible. Because if somebody is used to always doing it, and then because of the events happening, no longer have a source, things are going to get ugly pretty quick. And you don't want to be around it. You don't want your group to be around it. You certainly don't want your family to be around it. Right, exactly. You got to have people with their head on straight. So, just be wise in those kinds of decisions. I know right now there's a whole lot of people that are still seeking groups and whatnot. And a lot of that stuff is kind of calmed down as well. Because, Trump getting back into the White House. And you're going to see it. I already said this before. You're going to see it. You're going to see the whole kind of prepping trend fall away a little bit. It's just the nature of the beast. Been there, done that. Remember when I started this show, Obama was president. So that was also another pretty heavy prep time. And then when Trump got into office, prepping let up a little bit. Of course, Biden got in office, and probably more preppers than I've ever seen in my entire life popping out of the woodwork. And you're going to see a lot of those go back into the woodwork now that Trump's coming back in. It's just the way that it is. And again, mark my words on my prediction that you're going to see a lot of preparedness channels not do so well anymore. And it's going to be a culmination of reasons. For one, it's conservatives are in control. They're going to win. They're going to fix everything, right? That kind of an attitude, that's part of it. I do believe that you're going to see the economy start to do better. And that's also going to cut down on as many people, quite as many people that are worried about impending doom. Because there are a fair amount of people out there that their doom has to do with the economy. It's going to be interesting. Just keep an eye out over the next 6 months or so. You're going to see a few big changes as far as the whole preparedness. I'm gonna say the word industry, and when I say industry, I don't mean the companies making the products for preparedness. I mean the people that talk about preparedness, the people that have preparedness related businesses. Again, not talking about the people that make stuff for preparedness, but say a retailer for preparedness. You're going to see a lot of changes in that landscape because, again, the demand's not going to be there, not nearly on the level that it has been. And you are going to see a lot of businesses that are going to close the doors. They just are. And when I say that, I'm talking about a lot of the smaller, like preparedness retailers, e-tailers, however you want to put it out there. The ones that don't do a lot of business, but they, some of them do it because it helps them on their preparedness journey. That's the money that they put back in for themselves, the money they make for their own preparedness, and at the same time, and it's not a bad idea, if you're in a retail type of environment selling preparedness items, that means you're probably getting those preparedness items for yourself cheaper. So it's not a bad plan. But you're going to see some of that business dry up, and therefore, some of those businesses drying up along with it. And then as far as the content, you're going to really see that wane off because it's not going to be profitable. Just like I made that video about. It's not going to be profitable. Just not. Because a lot of people's going to get pissed off. It's you got to see it to believe it. But again, I've already been through this. We started doing this show with Obama. So I've already gone through a round of this. But I encourage people to keep the preparedness mindset. I don't encourage people to slack off or to walk away from preparedness because, the economy might be better. Because let me tell you what, whether it be a major SHTF that affects a lot of us at the same time, or whether it be just losing your job, or having the pipes burst in your home, or a tornado hits your house. There are so many variables. Preparedness is still a really good idea. But when it comes to big events, the kind of events that we talk about to where the grid is down and fuel deliveries are no more, there's no more deliveries to the stores. If you got a weak link in your crew, you better get that figured out. And you better be, this is probably the most important part, you better be mentally prepared to deal with that. Could I have done that? Could I have left my wife and taken my kids on to a group of people to survive whatever it is if it would have happened? Yep. And it's not because I'm just that cold, I'm that much of an ass, or nothing like that. she put me through that much hell. I was numb. That's never came back, by the way. I'm still pretty numb. That's probably why some people think I'm kind of harsh. I'm trying to put a bow on it, ain't I? I'm harsh, and I know I'm harsh. And no, I don't have. I'm pretty damn numb. I'm pretty damn numb. I sit there and I think about how I would even act if any of my kids walked up to the door, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I'm supposed to. I miss them. I love them. I want them to be a part of my life. But I haven't seen them for over a decade. Do you give them a hug? Do you shake their hand? Is that too impersonal? What do you say? And actually, my biggest fear involving that scenario is that the numbness will cause me to make the wrong decision. I don't know. I hope it's a problem I have to deal with. I really, truly do. But I can't sit here and tell you how it's best to deal with it, other than sit down and have an honest, upfront conversation. And probably the most important part of that conversation, not focusing on pointing fingers. Although it's important that they know what went on. I honestly feel that. Because from my understanding, my situation, my kids, everybody that I know that are familiar with the situation, meaning have had contact with my ex or my children, have said that they are absolutely brainwashed. And I have no doubt of that. No doubt of that. Not even a morsel of a doubt of that. So I don't know. Again, it's a problem that I hope falls on my lap because I want to see them. But just make sure that you think about those kinds of things. I'm not talking about the things with my kids, but make sure you think about those kinds of things. Be willing to do what you have to do and to protect everyone else. You don't want to be like I was in Tennessee with a day to two to get the hell out with a bunch of very, very heavily armed, very, very pissed off people. Not a fun place to be. Not a fun place to be. Anyway, I am going to get out of here. I will see you all tomorrow night, God willing. I hope you all have a good evening. And hopefully tomorrow we can have a lighter topic, and maybe I can start off with something stupid like I did last night. So anyway, have a good one. Good night, Leo. Good night, what's it to you? I hope you all have a good one. And we'll see you tomorrow. Shalom.